بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد الفاتح الخاتم وعلى آله حق قدر العظيم. السلام عليكم. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, all praises are due to the Almighty Allah, the Lord of the universe, the most beneficent, the most merciful, the sovereign of the day of judgment. You alone we worship, and from you alone we implore help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those whom you have favored, neither of those who have incurred your wrath, nor of those who have gone astray. O Allah, maintain your praise persistently upon our chief and master Muhammad, the key to that which is closed, the seal to that which is past, the upholder of the truth by means of truth, the proper guide to your straight path, and upon his family according to his eminence and his great honor. Assalamu alaikum. Once again, good morning everyone. I am back on my series of lectures on the topic reflection on the verses of the Holy Quran. If you can remember, we are still in the third chapter of the Holy Book, that is Surah Al Imran. We were in the midst of discussing the atrocities of the Jewish community, of the Jewish nation against their prophets, and how the Holy Quran was reminding them of those atrocities. At the same time, it reminded them of the prophets who happened to be Jewish by tribe, and those prophets were exemplary models for them to emulate, and they were reminded of the crimes the phobias committed so as to deter them from committing the same mistakes that they committed, so as to avoid having the same requital as their phobias did. And after a couple of verses, then the Almighty Allah went straight to the genesis of the topic of discussion, that is the origin of Jesus Christ, how he evolved, peace and blessing be upon him, because the audience happened to be the Arab Christians who came from Najran, who were guests to the Prophet ﷺ in Medina, who were received by him, and the Almighty Allah started from the root of the entire humanity as the root of the Jesus Christ himself. The Almighty said, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Inna Allah astafa Adama wa Nuhan wa ala Ibrahima wa ala Imran ala al-alamin. Certainly the Almighty Allah chose first and foremost Adam and exalted him above creatures. In fact, he exalted him above even the angels, since he taught them names and nature of everything that they failed to understand before he taught them. And when he did, they were asked by the Almighty Allah to fall down in prostration to him, and they did. And that was a mark of respect by them to him, peace be upon him. And in the last of Adam, wa Nuhan, then Prophet Noah. Adam, despite the fact that angels did not only witness the process of his creation, in fact, they were the ones that were sent to bring the substances of which he was created. So they knew everything, yet with all that, the Almighty Allah exalted him above them, for them to witness the evolution of Adam as a creature, for them to witness the process of his creation and how the spirit was breathed into him and everything, yet he was exalted above them, and that did not make them feel jealous of him, because they were angels, they were not human beings, so they don't have that element of jealousy in them, because after all they are spiritual in nature. And in the last of Adam, wa Nuhan, then down the line, the Almighty Allah exalted Prophet Noah among the grandchildren of Adam. Noah happened to be the grandson of Prophet Enoch, while Enoch, that's Idris alayhi salam. Prophet Idris descended from Prophet Sheeth. Sheeth was the direct son of Adam, who was the first ever to be appointed a prophet among the children of Adam, and who was the one that inherited the institution of religion from Adam after his demise. So, وَنُوحًا وَآلَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَآلَ إِمْرَانَ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. Then the family of Abraham and the family of Imran. Here you can see the genesis or the root of Jesus Christ, starting from Adam down to Noah, then Abraham, then through Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, then from Jacob down the line up to Imran, who happened to be the grandfather of Jesus Christ, for he was the father of Mary, the mother of Christ. So, وَآلَ إِمْرَانَ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. The family of Imran are above all the nations of their times. Adam was the best when he was created. He was elevated above all the creatures of his time. And so was Prophet Noah. As of the time he was sent to the people of Babylon, he preached them for a period of 1,000 years less 50. And after that, the Almighty Allah fulfilled the promise he made him that if his people persisted in their unbelief, he will destroy them, and he did, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Noah was delivered along with the people that were carried in his ark. فَأَنْجَيْنَا وَأَصْحَابَ السَّفِينَةِ وَجَعَلْنَاهَا آيَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. And then Prophet Abraham, when he was equally sent to the people of Babylon, the same people Prophet Noah preached to, I mean their great-great-grandchildren. Abraham was born and bred in Babylon, in the kingdom of Nimrod. And he stayed there preaching to them for quite some time. In fact, he was the only monotheist amidst the community of polytheism, community of idol worshippers. He was the only monotheist servant of Allah. And when he preached to them, he did not get any positive response from them. They unanimously rejected the message. In fact, Abraham had to declare, أَفَرَأَيْتُمْ مَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْبُدُونَ أَنْتُمْ وَآبَاؤُكُمُ الْأَقْدَمُونَ فَإِنَّهُمْ عَدُوٌّ لِّي إِلَّا رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ. This was in consonance with what was preached by Noah. Noah did not despair, despite the long ages it took him preaching. In fact, it was until the Almighty Allah revealed to Prophet Noah, وَأُوحِيَ إِلَى نُوحٍ أَنَّهُ لَن يُؤْمِنَ مِنْ قَوْمِكَ إِلَّا مَنْ قَدْ آمَنَ فَلَا تَبْتَئِسْ بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. An inspiration, a revelation was sent down to Noah, telling him that from now going forward, none of your people will ever convert to the religion. None of them will ever believe in you anymore. Illa man qad amana, except for those who have already believed in you. Therefore, fala tabta'is bima kanu ya'malun. Don't ever feel grieved. Don't ever be grieved by what they are doing. And that means there is no need going forward. There is no need to continue preaching to the people that were declared by God that they will be permanently infidels, that they will never convert. So he stopped preaching. Instead, the Almighty Allah instructed him, وَاصْنَعِ الْفُلْكَ بِأَعْيُنِنَا وَوَحْيِنَا. Go and erect an ark. Go and craft an ark under our vigilance and going by our instruction. بِأَعْيُنِنَا وَوَحْيِنَا وَلَا تُخَاطِبْنِي فِي الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا إِنَّهُمْ مُجْرِمُونَ. Go and craft an ark, a ship, and that exercise will take place under our direct supervision, said the Almighty Allah. بِأَعْيُنِنَا means under direct supervision of God, under the divine supervision. Imagine an assignment being carried out under the divine supervision, under the supervision of God himself. That is exactly what Noah did. He went and crafted the ark as instructed by God. It was the Almighty himself directing him what to do, what not to do, how to do, and how not to do, until he completed the job under the divine supervision and instruction. بِأَعْيُنِنَا وَوَحْيِنَا وَلَا تُخَاطِبْنِي فِي الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا. Don't ever speak to me. Don't ever ask me with regard to any of those who have already displayed. Don't try to intercede for any one of them, for I have already condemned them to doom. I am going to destroy them and punish them. في الذين ظلموا أي الذين كفروا, because والكافرون هم الظالمون إنهم مجرمون, for the fact that they are criminals. And Noah continued doing as he was bidden by God. وَيَصْنَعُ الْفُلْكَ, as he was constructing the ark. وَيَصْنَعُ الْفُلْكَ وَكُلَّمَا مَرَّ عَلَيْهِ مَلَأٌ مِنْ قَوْمِهِ سَخِرُوا مِنْهُ. Whenever some of his people came to pass by and they saw him constructing the ark, they would mock him and say, look at him, now he stopped preaching. That means now you have changed your occupation of preaching with the occupation of carpentry. A prophet turned carpenter. That means that you have now changed your profession. And they'll mock him and pass by. What was his response to that mockery? He said, قَالَ إِن تَسْخَرُوا مِنَّا فَإِنَّا نَسْخَرُ مِنْكُمْ كَمَا تَسْخَرُونَ. Keep mocking. You are free to mock me. But make sure that whatever mockery that you are doing to me with regard to what I am doing, a day will come when I will mock you back in a manner that you will never expect. فَإِنَّا نَسْخَرُ مِنْكُمْ كَمَا. In the same way you are mocking me today, there will come a day when I will mock you back. نَسْخَرُ مِنْكُمْ كَمَا تَسْخَرُونَ. I, along with my people, will mock you back. It is on that day that فَسَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ مَنْ يَأْتِي عَذَابٌ مُقِيمٌ. You will come to realize who is going to be visited and overtaken by the divine chastisement, a humiliating chastisement, who is going to be visited by the divine punishment that will humiliate him. وَيَحِلُّ عَلَيْهِ عَذَابٌ مُقِيمٌ. And a permanent chastisement will befall him. حتى إذا جاء أمرنا وفارت النور. It is, he kept doing this until the day when our punishment come to overtake them. And that was how eventually the unbelievers of Noah were destroyed, and he was delivered, and he was exalted by the Almighty Allah, and he was proven right in his claim of being a prophet of God. The Almighty Allah did not leave him, did not forsake him. He rather gave him proof to show to the whole world that he was chosen by God as a prophet, and he did. وَنُوحًا. Then وَآلَ Ibrahim, the family of Abraham, starting with him. As I started saying, Abraham was born and bred in the land of Babylon during the time of Nimrod. And he was the only monotheist. He started preaching monotheism to his people who were polytheists. He told them, in fact, he engaged them in a very interesting philosophical engagement. Abraham was very logical and philosophical in his approach. He did not just come and tell them, stop worshiping idols, come and worship the one and only God. No, he started by asking them, because no engagement is more interesting than the question and answer session. Because you allow the other party to tell their mind, to speak out, to tell you what they feel, how they perceive the whole thing, how they look at things. You will have their perspective that will help you in realizing how to approach them, the right approach to adopt towards them. But when you start speaking without allowing them to speak out, you may not know their mindset, you may not know their perspective, their worldview, and so on and so forth. That's why Abraham engaged them in a very philosophical manner. He started asking them questions rather than preaching. إذ قال لأبيه وقومه ما هذه التماثيل التي أنتم لا عاكفون إذ قال لأبي لم تعبد ما لا يسمع ولا يبصر ولا يغني عنك شيئا. Can you imagine? What are those images? What are those idols to which you are so devoted? Why this devotion? Why? How would you worship what can never see? Nor can it hear you as you are worshiping it? Why? And they responded. That helped Abraham to continue. They said, we came to find our fathers worshiping them. That's why, in fact, this is a noble heritage as far as they are concerned. That's how they consider it. It is an heritage of our forebears. It constitutes our civilization, our culture, our ideological identity. So that's how we are. We inherited it from our forebears and no more. And Abraham did not ask them whether they inherited them from their forebears or not. What he wanted to know, what is the justification of this devotion to the idols? He only wanted them to justify logically. And they were very honest to tell him the truth, that they only inherited this culture of idol worshipping from their forebears and no more. And that helped Abraham in strategizing how to approach them further. That's how to engage them further. قال لقد كنتم أنتم وآباؤكم في ضلال مبين. Then let me tell you, let me be frank with you at this point, that you and your forebears are in obvious misguidance. You are obviously misguided for you to craft idols of your own craftsmanship. Then you prostrate to them, you worship them. If either of you, that is you and the idols, if there is any that you should worship, if any of you should worship the other, it should have been the idols worshiping you, because after all, you created them. Can you see logic? Can you see philosophy? Would you rather worship what you have crafted with your own hands? Wallahu khalaqakum wa ma ta'malun. Why the Almighty Allah created you and what you are doing? Certainly, you and your forebears have fallen into an obvious error, an obvious misguidance. We want to know if what you are saying is true. Are you serious? Are you serious in this submission of yours? Or you are just joking? Abraham said, well, matters relating to divinity transcend simple joke. No one would ever joke with matters relating to divinity. Here we are talking about the creator of the universe. Do you think that I would joke with you? No conversation can be more serious than this. The subject of our discussion here is nothing other than your Lord. Rabbukum, not only you, Rabbus samawati wal ardi alladhi fatara. Your Lord and the Lord of the heavens and the earth, who crafted them, who originated the idea of the creation. He did not rather copy the idea from elsewhere. No. He originated the idea. The concept was entirely divine. How the kingdom of creation should be created, how it should function, for what period of time, who should exist first, who should come next, and then who up to the end of the world. All this was carefully designed by no one other than the Almighty Allah. So it was a divine design the way we exist now. Now it's our turn to live. Later on in the next century, perhaps it will be the turn of our great-grandchildren, and we will be no more. There laying in our graves. Just in the same way, our forebears are no more. They are there in their graves. Now it's our turn. And as we are exiting slowly and gradually from the space of the world, our children and great-grandchildren are taking over. That's why every morning, those who die will vacate the space for those who are born today to take over. So no child will be born today without someone else vacating a space for him to take over. So all this is a divine craftsmanship, subhanahu wa ta'ala. رب السماوات والأرض الذي فطرهن وأنا على ذلك من الشاهدين. For this I can bear witness to the fact that it is true. وأنا على ذلك من الشاهدين وتالله لأكيدن أصنامكم بعد أن تولوا مدبرين. So when he preached to them and they refused to accept his admonition, it coincided the day of their celebration of their cultural festival. So they went to celebrate their festival day and they left him behind. In fact, they asked him to come along. فَنَظَرَ نَظْرَةً فِي النُّجُومِ وَقَالَ إِنِّي سَقِيمٌ. He told them that I don't feel fine. I don't feel okay. He was well and sound. But why did he say so? He didn't want to join them. At the same time, he didn't want to be rude to them. After all, among them was his uncle, Azar. So he didn't want to be rude to them. And when he said, I do not feel fine, or I'm sick, he was referring to the fact that no one is well and sound except those who are granted wellness and soundness by the Almighty Allah. Kullukum maridun illa man shafaitu. All of you are sick except for those whom I granted health. So that is that. And when they turned their backs, heading for their shrine or for the square where they used to celebrate their festivals, Abraham said after they departed, وَتَاللَّهِ لَأَكِيدَنَّ أَصْنَامَكُمْ بَعْدَ أَن تَوَلَّوْا. Certainly, I swear by Allah, I will scheme against your idols after your departure. فَجَعَلَهُمْ جُزَازًا. Then he broke those idols into pieces. إِلَّا كَبِيرًا لَهُمْ لعلهم إليه يدون. With the exception of the biggest one of them, so that they will turn to that one. He will use that, the biggest one, as a reference point for him to derive the point, to derive home the point of the significance of monotheism. He wanted to explain to them the concept of monotheism, which did not exist at all in their minds. He wanted to expose them to that concept. They don't, in fact, they lack the idea of monotheism at all. It was purely a polytheistic society, or rather polytheist society. So when he kept having broken the smaller idols into pieces, then he hung the instrument he used on the neck of the biggest one. When they came back, they asked him, you see another philosophical approach by Abraham? He hung the instrument on the neck of the biggest one. He wanted to send out a message to them. When they came back, they asked, Man fa'ala hadha bi alihatina innahu lamina. Who did this to our idols? Certainly he must be a very wicked man. Then those who were around said, we had a young man by name Abraham speaking of them and undermining them. Then out of, or rather in keeping with the principles of justice and fairness, they did not just conclude that Abraham was culprit. No, they said, فَأْتُوا بِهِ عَلَىٰ أَعْيُنِ النَّاسِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَشْهَدُونَ. Bring him in the front of people. Bring him in front of people so that they will testify whether he was truly the one who broke them into pieces or not. Then they summoned him. They asked him, Man fa'ala hadha bi alihatina ya Ibrahim? Oh Abraham, who did this to our idols? Bal fa'alahu kabiruhum hadha. It is the biggest one of them out of, it was the biggest one of them that felt that you could not tolerate sharing your devotion with these smaller idols. Why would you worship these smaller idols alongside him? Why is the biggest one? You see the wisdom of Abraham here. He wanted to show them he exposed them to the concept of monotheism that they didn't know. Then ask them if they can speak. فاسألوهم إن كانوا ينطقون. Then فرجعوا إلى أنفسهم فقالوا إنكم أنتم الظالمون. Then in fact they turn around to each other, blaming each other, saying that you know that they cannot speak. In the quantum that we are calling a wicked man. That means that we are the most wicked people. His point was correct, that we should ask them if they can speak. That means these idols can in no way receive any communication whatsoever from us. They don't even know we exist. So, but he himself knows that they don't speak. Why would he ask us to question them? You too, you are very much aware that they don't speak. Why would you ask us to? Why would you refer us to them, to ask them? Then it was at that point that Abraham said, well, that's exactly the point where I want to drive you to. If you yourself come to the conclusion that they can never communicate, that means that they can in no way receive any communication from you. They don't even know that you worship them. لِمَ تَعْبُدُونَ مَا لَا يَنْفَعُكُمْ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَضُرُّكُمْ. Why would you worship idols that can neither help you nor can they harm you? أُفٍّ لَكُمْ وَلِمَا تَعْبُدُونَ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ. We are going to stop here, inshallah. When we come back in the next session, we are going to continue exactly where we stop. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق الإمداد الذي سبحانه وتعالى. السلام عليكم.